Am I the asshole for telling my son he deserved his girlfriend breaking up with him? So my son had a long-distance girlfriend recently for about 2 years. She was great, a really nice girl, and we all loved her, welcomed her with open arms. She was flying here constantly to visit him, like a weekend a month, and he didn't lift a finger to go visit her. I tried talking to him about it several times and told him he should really start looking into flying over to her instead of expecting her to do all the traveling. He said no. And my wife probably had something to do with it, as she constantly told him she was afraid of him flying. I spoke to them both and said this girl is great for him. She was willing to move over to our country too, but said there was one condition, and that was he'd have to fly over to her country too. Which is fair enough. He said no, he didn't want to fly or travel anywhere. My son was becoming lazier and lazier, eventually telling his girlfriend and us that he was perfectly fine never traveling anywhere, including holidays, etc. Last week, he told us she's dumped him. I went on her FB page, as we're all still friends. She wrote us an apology letter about how she's upset it didn't work out, but these things happen, so we're on good terms, and looks like she's with a new guy already. Me and my wife have no doubt she was seeing him while still in a relationship with my son. I confessed to them both that I actually agree with her decision and he should have expected it. He did not treat her properly, and I hope he learns lessons for the next one, because he needs to make more of an effort. I said he deserves it for his lack of effort in the relationship and for essentially just allowing this girl to spend all her money and time coming here all the time. Wife and son are very upset that I said this. Very, very upset, and my wife says I am being horrible. Am I the asshole? I stand by what I said. Not the asshole. That's the truth. What age is he? Edit, you say he's 24 in another comment. Definitely not the asshole. If he is this lazy and has no plans to travel, what's his plan for leaving the house? Living with parents is great to save money, but he doesn't seem the type so far to actually get up and get out eventually. LMFAO. I thought you were going to say like 15. Yup, not the asshole. I was expecting 16 max. Edit. To the people saying that it couldn't happen to anyone in their teens because of the expense, you haven't lived in Europe. I lived there for a while. Sometimes cross-country flights can be as cheap as $50 if you book in advance. More than affordable working part-time/weekends once a month or so. Like Berlin to Paris is $46. Or Hamburg to Munich is like $36. What teenagers do you know who have cross-country long-distance relationships and fly back and forth to see each other? I knew he had to be a man-child based on that alone. Edit, I think lots of people are only reading the first part of the comment. I know lots of teens are in long-distance relationships, I just don't buy that a ton of them get to frequently fly back and forth across the country to see each other because of time and money constraints. The people who reply and say that they were in that situation are likely exceptions to the rule. Edit 2. Alright, I get it, plenty of you had either enough time or money or rich enough parents to have long-distance relationships where you routinely traveled to see your partner. That still isn't the reality for most people. Just because you've personally experienced something, doesn't mean it's the norm for everybody. I'm very happy for all of you who had long-distance relationships that worked out, and for those of you who were fortunate enough to be able to travel long distances to see each other frequently, but most of the people replying still only say they saw each other a couple of times a year as opposed to the monthly visits mentioned in the OP. I had my first long-distance relationship at 15. Frown. Sure, we all know about your Canadian GF. She lives in Vancouver and sucks like a Hoover. I email her every single day just to make sure that everything's okay. Wait, her name is Alberta and she lives in Vancouver. That would have been saucy since I'm female, but my first girlfriend was in real life. Smile, I was also 16. Also didn't work out though, lol. Really? Do parents pressure their 15-year-old kid to fly alone to a different country to visit their GFs? That seems absurdly young for something like that. Regardless, I agree with OP and he's not the asshole. For the 15-year-old part, yeah, my parents are fine with me flying over a medium distance, Florida to New York length, as long as it's to a safe place. Now not very often, but like once every couple of months. But a 24-year-old not wanting to travel, unless he's in deep money trouble, to see their significant other is just selfish. It's bizarre from a European perspective that you consider flying every couple of months not very often. Keck, yeah. Reminds me of how driving for more than an hour seems normal in the US but torture abroad. To be fair, this looks like it was another country. Definitely not sending a high school kid over to another country on their own, but after 18, they have no excuses. Depends on how you define on their own. If they were 15 and visiting their GF/BF, I'd assume they'd be staying with the other kid's parents. I definitely wouldn't send a kid to another country to be on their own. My parents, when we lived in the UK, sent my brother to the USA by himself to spend a month with our aunt and uncle when he was 15, then they did the same for me when I was 14. Wife and I, now living in the USA, plan on turning this into a tradition and sending our kid to visit my brother, still in the UK, for a month when ours turns 14-15. My nephew is almost 15 and we're trying to get them to send him over here for a month. Anyway, my only point is that a 14-15-of-a-year-old being sent to another country on their own isn't that crazy emo, so long as they're not going to stay on their own when they get there. Same. Was flown to France alone at 11 years/0 for a 2-month visit to see family. The same family moved to the US and their teenage daughter, 16, has a BF who moved to Toulouse after high school and they visit each other regularly. I feel like as long as you know your kid and trust the other kid and their family, it's not that big of a deal really. Sorry, I thought this was kinda funny. I'm older than you, and fly a bit more often than that, but your experience isn't normal. Something like 50 to 55% of Americans didn't fly even once in 2017, and for the rest the average is like 2.5 flights. https://www.travelpulse.com/news/airlines/here's how many American travelers flew in 2017.html. Not the asshole, but I kinda disagree with this post. It isn't about pressure their kid to fly alone to a different country to visit their GF. It's a lesson about meeting a partner in the middle, about the give and take of relationships. If girlfriend is the one making all of the travel and boyfriend is not only not doing any travel, but refusing to, then boyfriend is signaling that he is not going to put in as much effort as GF. That's very problematic. A relationship cannot be that one-sided. The travel is really just a symptom of a bigger issue. Nah. He has a mentality of a 15-year-old. Wow, I assumed he was like 18 to 19 from the way he was acting. I applaud you for calling out your son. He needs to grow up if he ever wants a real relationship with someone, because relationships take effort. I really hate when people side with their families all the time, as if their family members can do no wrong because blood is thicker than water or whatever. Real love for someone means that sometimes you need to call them out on their bullshit so they can become better people in the long run, and I think that's what you've done with your son. Bubble wrapping and coddling him does nothing for his personal growth. Fun fact, the full phrase is actually the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which advocates the exact opposite of the shortened form blood is thicker than water. Nope. That's actually an urban legend. Also, the game tag wasn't named for the acronym for touch and go. Oh, then NVM, I learned something new today. That being an urban legend doesn't necessarily mean you're wrong. It was used in the context of soldiers working and fighting together and often forming bonds stronger than that of their own family. Urban legend or not, your statement was correct. Cool, then I double learned something today. Hey, I'm 18 and even I wouldn't do something like that. Also, I want to say that it's possible she wasn't seeing someone else while dating him. I was in a very similar situation with a guy who never took our relationship seriously despite over 4 years together. He refused to move forward in our lives together and, while we were long distance for a year, even told me to cancel a trip I had planned to see him because he was too busy. I didn't know how to break up with him, but meeting someone else ended up being kind of what I needed to understand that he wasn't right for me. It probably looked like we were together before I broke up, but we weren't. I had just found someone perfect for me after nearly 5 years of dragging it out with the wrong person. Yeah, that's kinda what I was imagining happened here. She found someone that actually treated her right and that was the push she needed to dump OP's son. I mean, she also could have cheated, and we could speculate all day, but your scenario is the thought that came to my mind. Either way, OP is not the asshole. Sounds like their kid could use a personality makeover. There's nothing wrong with not liking to travel, but you have to make compromises and sacrifices in a relationship. It's a two-person gig. I have a buddy that hates traveling and leaving the house. He likes to chill at home and play video games with his buds. But he still moved to an entirely different country for his now wife. Gave up having his friends and family close so he could be with her. She owns a company so she couldn't really move as easily as him. That's how you know a relationship will work. OP's son needs a reality check. Why is he in a long distance relationship if he doesn't ever want to travel? He didn't expect to be the one to do the work required to maintain it. And he didn't. I guess meeting women online is easier if you never leave the house. Is it possible your son/wife might end up on or/just, no, mother-in-law? It's like your wife is encouraging him to put low/no effort in his romantic relationships. Is there some other dynamic going on? I wasn't thinking about that sub, but I think there is something going on with mom. She needs to encourage him to get out into the world, not applaud him and cheer him on for sitting on his ass and neglecting his relationships and tell him it is all the girl's fault when she gets fed up and moves on. In my opinion, the mom being afraid of him flying is definitely an overlooked weird-ass line too. It's 2019. Why the fuck would you encourage somebody to be afraid of flying? She's a grade 1 clinger it seems like. That's with a LDR girlfriend. What I'd like to know is how she reacts with a local girl, when he moves out and if they ever want to get married. She might level up into the big boss. Honestly, you did the right thing by telling him this, and he should learn from it. I'm sorry your wife is pissed. What kind of husband and father will he make if he's already this lazy? Not the asshole. Yeah, she sounds a little too attached. Sometimes you have to tell those you love the truth about their own behavior. We are all fallible. We all make mistakes. And his mistake was being lazy. It doesn't sound like he is afraid to fly. Just that he didn't care enough about her to bother. Not the asshole. And you should keep telling your son relationships are work. It is not 100% on the woman to do all the heavy lifting. Not the asshole lol, I hate the expression take it like a man, but dude had warning by a more experienced person, ignored it, dug his heels in and then goes all surprised Pikachu face when she leaves. Glad you at least tried. He needs to deal with his fuck up. Hopefully the next time he gets lazy he catches his shitty behavior before you have to remind him. Just cause a girl is totally head over heels for a guy doesn't mean that she's willing to overlook her personal value and spot other people that appreciate her. Oh god, that's cringy. Not the asshole. This girl deserved better and good on you for seeing that and not blindly defending your son. I thought of something funnier than 24. 25. Wow, you raised a weenie but not the asshole. Holy shit, not the asshole smiley face. I agree, except for the fact that she was trying to date the other guy while still in the relationship, if that part was true. Long distance girlfriend should have just dumped him sooner if she was already seeing someone else. It doesn't mean she was dating the guy already though. She easily could have met someone she got along with, realized her boyfriend is an ass, dumped him and then moved on. It doesn't necessarily mean she was actually dating this new guy while still in the relationship. I've done it. Didn't cheat on my boyfriend at the time but realized there really is greener grass. Same. Dumped my local boyfriend because I realized he wasn't a good fit, and my long-distance best friend was a pretty damn perfect match. Got married, never cheated, all is well. It's funny you have to explain that. I'm glad for your story but that's, dating. You meet people that suck and don't work until you meet the one that does. That's what this chick in question did because obviously Op's son sucks. Go her. A bunch of people on this site lack social awareness. I think people have this idealistic view that you should never leave your boyfriend for another guy, like it's not okay if you realize the grass is greener. And sometimes your perception can be totally off, and they weren't worth leaving someone over. So, I left because we aren't a good fit and there conveniently was someone else who was. But it wasn't your great, but I left you because I think this guy might be better, which can feel shallow. Edit. Also, there's the just sticking around so you aren't alone, even though you know it isn't going to work. There are just some shitty events around leaving person A and starting dating person B too soon afterwards, and it isn't necessarily inaccurate. Right? Not uncommon for people to firmly grab the next branch before they let go of the one they're holding. Not my speed personally, I prefer a bit of time to be single between relationships for mourning and growth, but it's not the same as cheating. That being said, it does depend of course on how far along this process is. Growing closer to somebody is one thing, but sleeping together before the breakup is a no-no emo. Plus I doubt it takes that much time to mourn the end of a relationship when it was long distance with someone who put in no effort. She's probably felt single for a while at this point. Long distance relationships are funny like that. You can feel single because you can't visit and snuggle with the one you love every day or even several times a week, living apart but within short driving distance. The physical aspect is very difficult when you value the other person in the relationship. It starts really getting irritating and feelings of envy are overpowering when you see simple things like couples holding hands or walking down the street together with a snack/drink. In this situation, she wanted him to come see how she lives, probably resulting in more overall time they get to spend together in person. It seems the son blew her off multiple times and this hurt, a lot. The son was TA to her and he was TA to dad again when he gave him right advice. OP is not the asshole. I meant that's entirely OP's speculation. It easily could have been she was asked out, dumped the long distance BF, then started going out. A lot of times on Reddit people act like dumping one person for another is the same thing as cheating though, even if they do it the right way. Which is funny cause Reddit is all about ending relationships on whims and shit. Absolutely agreed, but it doesn't change that in either case she should have left him. Just when, but the outcome and OP's reasonings as to why said outcome was deserved stays the same. Yes. Not the asshole. You're not his friend, but his dad and all you did is teaching him how relationships works. It's just your role. I'm also going to add that dad is not the asshole because let's look at the reality of this circumstance. His son wants this girl to make all of the effort, but can't accept that he needs to make some effort. This poor girl has no need to apologize but made that effort as well, which is something OP's son isn't going to do for her. This dude wants his girlfriend to do everything yet refuses to go visit her. If anyone is an it's the son and the mom. Not the asshole, it's a truth he needs to hear. I'm more concerned about the reaction of your wife. Does she enable your son's laziness? Yes lol. He's a proper mummy's boy, I want him to just grow up TBF. He's 24 now. OP, please listen to me. My best friend since elementary school is your son. And the sad truth is that he has sunken into a deep hole because his parents enabled his laziness for so many years. He was never pushed, never faced risks, never was disturbed from his zone of comfort. And now he is fiercely defensive about that comfort and it's ruined so many friendships. Unsurprisingly, he has sunk into a deep depression which only makes it harder for him to turn his life around. He had such a bright future when we were kids. Smart and an absolute joy to be around. Curious about science and able to be friends with anyone. But when it came time to be challenged or take risks, his parents shielded him from any responsibility. And now he is frozen with no sign of breaking free. Good Timber by Douglas Malloch. The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king but lived and died a scrubby thing. The man who never had to toil to gain and farm his patch of soil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man but lived and died as he began. Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger wind, the stronger trees, the further sky, the greater length, the more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men good timbers grow. Where thickest lies the forest growth, we find the patriarchs of both. And they hold counsel with the stars whose broken branches show the scars of many winds and much of strife. This is the common law of life. That's the perfect poem for the situation. And factually true, there was an article on Reddit about how trees grown in envirodomes couldn't grow tall without toppling because they lacked wind. They had to install fans to create wind and challenge the trees to harden their stumps. OP, you have to be the fan. I wonder if this is why my indoor sunflower is more prone to snapping. This isn't the thing that I expected to have a revelation about on this sub. Yeah, actually. I was growing strawberries indoors, they weren't getting enough light so I finally put them outside. There was also one plant that had always been outside, its petioles are much shorter and more robust. The ones which were initially inside are much longer, and have blown around much more in the wind, one of them even snapping. Put a small fan on it or something if you can't set it outdoors. Smile edit, and watch the humidity like the other guy below says, too. Just be careful about putting moving dry air on an indoor plant, it dries them out quickly and makes them vulnerable to mites and other pests. I used to be a plant doctor and the number of people who sat tropical plants directly on the output vent of their office AC units and wondered why they were covered in mealybugs and honeydew was too damn high. Let me fix that formatting for you. Some mobile browsers or apps might not render this properly, but it looks good on desktop. The tree that never had to fight for sun and sky and air and light, but stood out in the open plain and always got its share of rain, never became a forest king but lived and died a scrubby thing. The man who never had to toil to gain and farm his patch of soil, who never had to win his share of sun and sky and light and air, never became a manly man but lived and died as he began. Good timber does not grow with ease, the stronger wind, the stronger trees, the further sky, the greater length, the more the storm, the more the strength. By sun and cold, by rain and snow, in trees and men good timbers grow. Where thickest lies the forest growth, we find the patriarchs of both. And they hold counsel with the stars whose broken branches show the scars of many winds and much of strife. This is the common law of life. This looked weird on mobile for me, but the other looked fine. Damn dude, you deserve some gold for that. If you have a charity/cause of choice, it donate for you. Consider donating to the Human Fund. Money. For people. This is the brother of a ex-friend of mine. Dude is so smart and funny, and he can build any kind of computer, radio sets, any tech thing. The problem is that his mother fucking ruined him. She enabled his natural shyness until he'll barely talk unless you're a relative or someone he's known since childhood. She also pushed him to eat his feelings and only ever cook junk. He can hardly leave the house without having a full-on panic attack, and with a few exceptions, me, my sister, one or two other girls, he cannot even make eye contact let alone talk to a woman 18 to 60. Thank God he has a great online job. Still lives with mommy at 45. Doesn't know how to cook, besides microwaved crap, clean, do laundry, pay bills. I once taught him how to make hamburger helper, and it was like a revelation to him. His mom got mad at me for making her boy do women's work. I hate his mom so much. Despite totally seeing the toxic way her mom raised her brother, my ex-friend is raising her sons the exact same way. It's why we aren't friends anymore. I couldn't watch it happen again. Being the worst, psycho helicopter mom ever, never letting a kid explore, be by themselves, problem solve, or suffer consequences is pretty fucking abusive. I don't understand why parents let it get to that point. Aren't they embarrassed? When their friends ask how their kid is doing, what do they say? Don't tell me how to parent my kid! 1. OP seems reasonable and embarrassed by his son, but his wife clearly is not embarrassed and enables it. My cousin's parents are like this. 3 kids aged 19 to 22 who have never had jobs, don't drive, and they pick them up from college every Friday and drop them off every Sunday, 2 hours each way. Plus their social skills are abhorrent. Parents are happy and proud that their kids are fully dependent on them and can't even do their own laundry. What it is with the parents or the kids, it's like they have no comprehension of what other kids their age are capable of and no desire to ever exert any independence. I'm no mental health professional, but here's my take. Usually there's an underlying need in the parent that takes precedence over the damage they're doing, and they'll live in denial to meet that underlying need. Sort of like an alcoholic has an underlying need to manage anxiety, or other root issues, through inebriation that outweighs the social consequences of being shit-faced at a toddler's birthday party. The Oedipal mother. Being a bad parent is terrible enough without you bringing lobster daddy into the whole thing. How did I know the lobster was behind that link without even clicking it? Lucky you, I'm not that familiar with his dumbass material, my silly woman brain just can't take it all in. This is hitting home a bit with me as a parent. My 13-year-old is happiest being at home and isn't interested in extracurriculars or sports. He likes hanging out with his friends and will look forward to doing that, but otherwise is a huge homebody. I've stopped pushing about getting involved with something outside of school, figuring it would happen naturally when something interested him. Just makes me wonder what the balance is between him being challenged to be outside his comfort zone, or forcing him to do things he's miserable about. I definitely worry about the right thing to do as a mom. Just the fact that you're putting thought into this makes me think he's lucky to have you as a mom. With the disclaimer that I don't know anything about anything and certainly don't know about raising teens, I'd assume that it looks something like, keep lines of communication open, stay involved in his life but promote and support independence, try to signal boost his prosocial inclinations rather than suppressing the antisocial ones, be judicious about where and when you invoke mom powers, of course, but don't be afraid to put your foot down when you feel like he would benefit from you making a decision for him. I have a 13-year-old son who is the same way, and sometimes we push him to do things we know he'll enjoy or pick an activity to get out of the house. We give him the choice of activity he wants to try, and we don't force him to keep doing it if he's done it a while but doesn't like it. But otherwise we play the parent card and make him do something so he's not sitting in his room, playing video games 24/7. I mean, I'm a shy introvert and mostly like being home, but I also push myself to do new things or meet new people because my parents pushed me as a kid. It's all about balance, but you shouldn't feel bad if you give him little pushes to get out into the world and face a challenge. It'll help him learn how to handle it before he's out in the world on his own. Well, you just described me perfectly. Fix your shit. Being self-aware about it doesn't make it any better. I feel personally attacked. Thank you. Making observations about his behavior and their consequences can't hurt. And stand fast. Sorry you think I'm being a jerk, but I can't agree. Do you know what his ex told him? Did she give a reason for the breakup, like a truthful reason? Dear, someone needs to tell him the truth or he will not grow up. You are not the asshole. My questions are based on a similar but different experience. I was dating a girl, both 25, both living with our parents. I was looking for a new job. She was finishing school. Basically it boiled down to I was living with my parents as roommates while looking for a house/job. She was being treated like a 16-year-old by her parents. She would not stand up to them and they caused a lot of issues. I would tell my parents no on stuff, but it never caused issues. Because she has always been treated like a child, she was a doormat to basically everyone and wouldn't communicate, and if she had her way we would have lived next door to her dad, in a town I told her I would not live in, mainly due to job prospects and it being a not so good place. When I ended it, I said we both have things we need to work on and grow. We cannot do that together, it is something we will need to do ourselves. A few months later we talked again. She wanted the reason, and that is when I told her the truth that it was difficult being with someone who cannot communicate. She would get quite an upset but never say anything, that it was always about her dad and I felt like I was always after the fact. She wouldn't let me help and I worried about her. There was stuff I could fix but she wouldn't let me because it would piss off her dad, like fixing her car. So I had to worry about her car breaking and her getting hurt. It was draining. I think she is doing better now, because it was a wake-up call. Sounds like he needs to find a way to be self-sustainable by the time he's 25-26? Give him a time frame for moving out. Oh no. You're definitely not the asshole here. Your wife also needs to probably back off a little, let him be a 24-year-old grown adult. He can most likely use his own hands to wipe his ass at this point. I'd watch your wife when he does manage to secure a real relationship. She seems like the home-wrecking type of mill. He's a man-child. That's what happens when both parents refuse to actually parent. In this case the mom enables all the bad behavior and the dad enables the mom. This is the exact same thing that happened with my dad, stepmother, and brother. Now he's getting closer to 30 with no real aspirations other than playing video games and smoking weed all day in his parents' basement. That's the definition of man-child. He stays at home and probably calls his mom to bring him back his favorite soda and chips from the store, haha smiley face. Sounds like mummy is perfectly enabling his way onto a failed life. How is he going to handle anything then? Just wait for others to do it? If you like the video, hit that subscribe button for more content. I post every day and I'll see you next time with more stories.